This segment brought to you by Heinen Brothers Ag, farmers helping farmers by offering quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia. Call today to protect your crop yield.
My name is Tracy Brunner. I'm serving as president of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association this year. I've been asked to come here to Kansas City to the Agri-Business Council for a luncheon and to address the group today. Some of the things that we'll likely talk about are some of the activities that NCBA has going on, and also current situation in the cattle and beef industry as a whole. Some of the main things that NCBA is spending a lot of time with these days are our priority issues in the policy area. Front and center of importance to cattlemen today is the Trans-Pacific Partnership. You know, cattlemen and the beef market depends more and more these days on trade and our ability to access the growing global markets. In fact, last year, $325 per head in value for a finished beef animal is attributable to our share of global trade. So very important and continuing to grow in importance. The Trans-Pacific Partnership is the greatest trade opportunity of my lifetime. It presents an opportunity for 40% of the global economy to be tied together in a free trade zone. Major participants in that, of course, are the United States, Japan, Australia, Vietnam, and several others, but about 12 nations in total. The main reason that we need TPP for cattlemen is the lowering of the access tariff into the Japanese market. Currently, U.S. cattlemen pay 38% tariff on beef going into Japan. And because of a bilateral agreement between the Japanese government and our competitor Australia, the Australians have an 11% tariff advantage. So far, since that trade agreement was signed between those two, we've lost over $100 million, and that's just in the first year. $100 million out of U.S. cattlemen's pockets into Japan, where the total value to the U.S. beef industry is about 1.1 or 1.2 billion. That's billion with a B dollars. So, you know, we export about 18% of the value of our U.S. beef overseas, and Japan is our #1 customer, and we're getting beat in that market because of the trade advantage that Australia enjoys. TPP will level the playing field. It will immediately level our tariff to enter into the Japanese market, and then over time it will diminish that tariff all the way down to only 9%. So enormous advantage and enormous potential for the future market for beef in TPP. A couple of other issues that we'll talk about real briefly. We're still spending a lot of time on WOTUS, the Waters of the U.S. issue. We're working on behalf of American farmers and ranchers and cattlemen for private property rights. The Waters of the U.S. rule would expand the reach of the federal government, a federal government power grab that would infringe on private property rights of cattlemen and to manage the resources that they buy and pay for when they're with the deed to their property. So we're working on behalf of our members and the whole industry on that. Another, very briefly, we'd like to see the Endangered Species Act reopened and updated. It's been 25 years. The listing of endangered species is used quite often, or more and more, to limit private property rights and even access to public lands. And so we'd like to see Endangered Species Act revisited and updated. A couple of other things that are important, we're vigilant on introduction of foreign animal disease into our country. The administration a year ago put forth the Brazil-Argentina Rule that would allow fresh frozen beef to enter our country from areas that have a known instance of foot and mouth disease, and we want an adequate risk assessment conducted before before we sign off on that. We're not against trade, but we've got to protect the health of the nation's beef herd and the safety of the global food supply. And one other thing we're spending more and more time with is market volatility. We're working directly with the CME to try and identify the sources and the reasons for increased cattle market volatility. And we're only in the early stages, but CME has been willing to work with us, and we're asking for some information. We want to give this a close look and see if we can find out the reasons why the market has been so volatile, and that movement in the market that is unexplainable by fundamentals underlying the market is taking place. So those are some of the bigger issues, and that's what we'll talk about here in Kansas City today.